For the record then, we
Okay.
are at Charlevoix Public Library in Charlevoix, Michigan, and this is November 13th, 2007. And I'm Judith Ivan, Assistant Adult Services Librarian. Rick Pierpont is the videographer from Pierpont Productions in Harbor Springs, and we are happy to have with us George DeGraeve. So George, will you start out please by telling us, so where were you when you first joined the service?
Well, I was still in high school at the time, and I wasn't doing too well, and in Detroit. And my brother had joined the National Guard, and we were tough on money, so, and it was a little bit toward getting some food on the table, so I joined too. And got a small check once a month.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, back then it was $21 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what
So
else? What
you
else?
joined the National Guard then?
Oh, yeah. I joined the National Guard in '39, and we stayed around there. They had two different types of maneuvers before we were activated, and we went to Wisconsin for maneuvers, they call it, and just so the officers could have a good time, I guess. But after that, back in '40, we were activated, and that's when the stuff hit the fan. And we drove from Detroit, the whole unit. We drove from Detroit to, well, we camped out in one little town in Indiana, I think it was, or Illinois, for one night, and then we went on to Missouri, to Fort Leonard Wood, which was just nothing at the time. The barracks were not there. We had to put up our tents, and
wow.
And yeah, but there were a lot of building going on at that time, and but
You literally were camping then?
yeah, we were camping.
You bet.
You betcha.
Did you travel by train?
Oh no,
No?
car.
Cars?
But car. I shouldn't say car. 4x4s, trucks.
Trucks, okay.
Yeah, carry all our own equipment. Yeah. The only thing we didn't take from the armory in Detroit was the howitzers. Everything else we took with us.
Wow. So you took everything that was available for wartime use with you to Fort Leonard Wood?
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
then what happened after Fort Leonard Wood?
Oh boy. Let's see. Well, it's hard to get started, but once I get started, I'll be all right. In Fort Leonard Wood, there were a lot of, we just went into training in a big way. Calisthenics in the morning, and get up at 5 and so on and so forth, and had a full day of lectures and different practices that we went through. The best thing we all liked about it, it was still peacetime. It was not, the nation was not at war, but we were activated.
Right.
So we still went by the old rules, and you had Wednesday afternoon off and the weekends off, and that was fun. That was fun. That was the fun part. Yeah.
You remember some of the things that you did with your buddies on the weekends?
Yeah, we looked for girls.
Oh, well, that's fancy.
We found a few. There's a lot of them out in Missouri.
Okay.
Hopefully they're still there. No, we did a lot of that.
Did you guys play cards, or what else did you do?
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. What did we do? We had a day room, and there was a pool table in it, and a ping pong table, and the coffee pot was always there. But the meals were real good, depending on the cook you had and how sober he was the night before.
That's pretty good. So what happened, George? Where were you when, on December 7th, 1941?
I can remember that as well as any of it. It was the middle of the night when we were all rousted out, and it was snowing outside, and they got us all information and told us that we were at war. And that was it. That was as much as we knew about it. We didn't, at the time, all they said was, they didn't even mention Pearl Harbor till the next day, because we were more or less isolated, and who cares about us, you know?
You didn't, there were no radios that you could get news from or anything like that?
Yeah, but we never had the time for that.
Okay.
We were always busy with something.
Okay.
Working on the trucks, keeping them clean, washing the barracks itself, and lots of inspections indoors and outdoors, and looking for that little special leaf on the ground that said you are discharged.
Didn't get very many of those.
Nobody found it.
Nobody found that.
Nobody found it.
Well, when did your unit become a medical unit?
Well, my unit, I entered the Army with the 182nd Field Artillery. And after we were in Missouri for quite a while, all the higher-ups decided that they wanted more units out of the cadre, as people in the unit use them as cadres and build up other companies and battalions and so on. Well, somehow I got picked for medical training. So the next thing I know, I'm on a train, and I'm in Springfield, Missouri, and that's where I had my medical training. Actually, it wasn't. It was just basics. You learned more about the body itself, the arms, the bones, and what to do for whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was well, that's what they call a cadre, and men came in from all over. We ended up in Camp Phillips, Kansas. It was about like Fort Leonard Wood was when we got there, and when I came back to my unit, the 182nd, they said, "Well, you're no longer, you don't live here anymore. You're with the 275th Armored Field Artillery, which was in Camp Phillips, Kansas." So back on another train, and we ended up over there. There was 3 of us from the 182nd that went to Camp Phillips, and we all were in the medical end of it. And
so that meant that you left all those people that you'd started out with in the Nashville Guard?
Lost every one of them.
Okay.
Never saw them again.
Never saw them again.
No, never saw them. And so I don't know. I've heard some things about them, that they were doing real well, you know, but you're just thinking about yourself when you're overseas, anyway. So, as far as the medical was concerned, it was very interesting. We got to do everything that you possibly could do on a live person. You know, you learned how to give shots, which was fun, and then take blood intravenously, and how to treat a fracture, and so on and so forth. That's what we learned. Before.
When did you ship overseas?
Oh.
Was that after Pearl Harbor?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Long after Pearl Harbor.
Long after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, we weren't activated until after Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
So we went to about the middle of June in 41.
In 41?
Wait a minute. No, 42. 42.
Yeah.
When we got on a British ship, I use the word loosely. If you like boiled food, that's what you got on a British ship. That's all they fed us. Everything was boiled. But I don't remember too much about the trip itself. There were just so many guys, you couldn't move around. And you were always looking to get to the rail so that you could help look for submarines or whatever it happened to be. And as far as I can remember, it took us about six days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long, I mean, you went zigzag the whole way. And we landed in, I don't know the date, we landed in England.
Sometime in 1942, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can remember the White Cliffs of Dover as we went by them.
Wow.
At least they told me that's what they were. And then we went in by train to a British facility, which was a camp where they had some buildings, and we were housed in them. And we stayed there till gee whiz, the dates are gone now. The dates are gone.
Did you we're in the Battle of the Bulge, so did you go, were you part of DDay? What happened in 1944 in June of DDay? Do you remember where you were then?
We were on a, what do you call them? It was a landing craft that was able to take the whole unit.
Okay.
And we were not under fire as we landed.
Okay.
No, that happened later, like at the worst fighting that my unit saw was during the Battle of the Bulge, as you just mentioned. That was, I hate to even think about all the people that were hurt and killed at the time. It was just indescribable. We were told at one spot to pack up. We were going to go move to. This was right after we were in the Ardennes forest at the time, and we were told we were going to be moving to somewhere. I don't know. They just never told us where. We just go, and there was going to be people, MPs, along the way to direct us on which route to take. And then we found out later, after we were pretty well lost, that some of the routing people were Germans in American uniforms and sending us on a
wild goose chase, away from the lines.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, geez.
We didn't know that at the time, but we were informed of that. And then the Battle of the Bulge itself, I can remember when it first started. We were in the Ardennes forest, and they brought up. We were pretty well situated there for probably, well, I can remember through Christmas. And then after that, behind us was brought in the 106th Division. They were fresh off the boats. I mean, they were coming in to take over where some of the others had been a long time. See, they were getting some relief. And we found out that the 106th moved in, and they didn't know where they were. And they were, when we were told about them later, see, we had moved out and they were in,
Right.
and situated, and we heard later that they weren't even told that they were on the fighting line. They were just all confusion, and we felt so bad about that, but we made up for it.
Yeah. Sounds like that communication was tough for you all to try to find out the right information.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, when you've got everybody scattering everywhere, you don't know where your information is coming from or whether it's right or not, you know.
Yeah.
That's what we were afraid of. And we were told at one spot, pack up and go, and the captain said, well, get the ambulances and trucks ready. We had one truck and one ambulance for our unit, and the driver and I went out and started packing up the truck. And I said, I'm going back and help pack up the dispensary. So I went back, and pretty soon this driver comes back and he says the truck won't start. I went, well, what are we going to do? I said, Sam, did you do everything you were supposed to do? Yeah. He was an older fella. He should never have been there, and but he was, and the captain. I went to the captain and said the driver said the truck won't start. He said, well, go out there and see what you can do. And meantime, the driver, or one of the other men there, was told by the captain, take a can of gasoline, and if it doesn't start when we're ready to move out, burn it.
Wow.
So I went down there, and the poor guy, he was just so excited. You had to do two things. You had to turn the key, and then you had to push a button. Oh. And he forgot to do one of them. But it was okay.
You got okay?
Yeah, we got out without, yeah, that was scary.
I'll bet that
was. The night, we were in it at the time. I hate to even talk about this. But you want to know what we were going through, so I'll tell you a little bit. We were woken up, whatever you want to call it, sometime during the night, and they said that one of our tanks, see, in an armored artillery, you have 105 mounted on tracks, and they have with the headquarters company, they have two 75mm tanks. Well, they had sent one out on a reconnoiter for something, and then we didn't know this, of course, and about sometime they woke us up and they said, well, we lost contact with the track. And well, they said, we sent men out, but it's there, but we don't want to go near it because we think somebody is hurt in there. So myself and one of the corporals went to the tank, and this was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. We had to get in that tank and find out what was happening. The motor was running. Why wasn't it moving? And there were 2 men in there, and there were 4 halves. I mean, they had an armor-piercing shell that went through one side, and then it just went around and around until it expended itself, and it killed those two men, just cut them all up to hell. That was the hardest one we've ever done, and we had to get those people out of there because we don't leave anybody behind if we can help it. And we could get them out. We got them out. That was my worst experience.
What happened to the tank? Did they save or salvage the tank, or what?
Oh yeah, they salvaged the tank later. Yeah, this was all during the night, you know, and you don't want to send a bunch of people out there when you know the enemy had been there. So you just wait till daylight and then you send some people out to clear it out.
But you guys went in at night.
Yeah, we were in
to take
at night.
care of the men.
Yeah, we had to take care of the mess. That's what we were there for.
Right.
Yeah, if somebody was hurt, we could help them. If they weren't hurt,
Right.
do the next best thing. That was terrible.